What if the father from Mortis trained Anakin Skywalker? Let's explore the depths of this scenario in the video.
You must see it now. I am dying, and you must replace me.
Replace you? I can't stay here.
But this is yours. It has been foretold. The Chosen One will remain to keep my children in balance.
No.
I cannot force you to do this. The choice must be yours. But to bring balance to the Force, you must first bring balance here.
Anakin looks away from him, his mind still racing after everything that happened. A few minutes ago, he didn't even know he was chosen. It was only after defeating the sister and the brother that he knew for certain. The power is still flowing through him and feels intoxicating. He's still in awe at how he managed to overpower both these beings. But while excited, Anakin is also worried. He's never channeled that much power before, and the way Obi-Wan and Ahsoka looked at him, it was clear they never saw such things either. They weren't ready for it, and neither was he.
All right. I will stay here until I learn how to harness my abilities.
Then I will teach you.
Later, as Anakin watched Obi-Wan and Ahsoka depart, he wondered if he was making a mistake, but realized there was no going back now. Like it or not, the power was within him, and he must find a way to harness it. The father takes him back to their monastery, where they begin their training. He has Anakin sit in the center of the dais as the father chants a spell. The mist begins to curl up from the seams of the dais, swirling around and wrapping around Anakin until he can't see what's in front of him. When the smoke clears, he finds himself back on Tatooine, but not just anywhere. He finds himself in the Tusken Raiders' hideout.
Oh no.
He shakes his head and tries to slap himself awake, but nothing breaks the spell as he sees them dragging his mother's form. Though she tries to fight them, the Raiders tie her to a pole and begin to flog her. Anakin feels each blow as it strikes her back, and his body trembles in agony.
Your heart is the source of your power, but it is also your weakness. Do not let it become poisoned.
His fingers curl into a fist as white-hot rage boils within him. Eventually, his past self appears through the tent, but Anakin knows it's too late. As he watches his younger self cradle his mother, tears well in his eyes. Eventually, he rises and begins to ignite his lightsaber. Anakin can feel the fury radiating off his past self like heat. His old self seems to glow a crimson aura as he cuts down the Tusken Raiders. Dark energy swirls around younger Anakin as he advances through the camp. He doesn't just kill the men, but the women and the children too. The darkness does not dissipate, but grows larger and begins to call present Anakin over. It invites him to give in to these same emotions again and unleash the great power inside him. Anakin reaches out to one of the dark tendrils, letting it pull him closer. But a voice calls out to him.
No, Anakin. Don't do it.
Anakin pulls back his hand in surprise just as the vision fades. The mist curls up again, and Anakin is back on Mortis, where the father is waiting.
Good. You did not give in to the darkness, but I sense you are still unbalanced. We will continue in the morning.
Anakin is happy to get some rest, but even in his dreams, the visions don't stop. He finds himself reliving the memories of his mother's death until he wakes up, but finds himself face to face with the ghostly form of Qui-Gon Jinn. The ghost's form flickers slightly as the Jedi smiles.
It's been a while. How are you? How are you here? You're dead. There are powers of the Force even the Jedi don't understand. Ones that you may learn here.
Because I'm the Chosen One?
It's true, isn't it? I had suspected that since I met you. But I did not wish to tell you because I did not want to burden you with that knowledge. Just know that it is your first step into understanding the power you possess. It's not a step I enjoy. Not with these visions. Anakin, you must be careful here. I suspect that there are other powers at play, ones with more sinister intentions. Please, be careful.
With that, Qui-Gon disappears, and Anakin is left alone. But he feels strangely heartened. Seeing his old friend and knowing that someone is there watching him helps him be at ease, allowing him to relax as he continues his training. The father's training drags on similarly. Every day Anakin must relive visions of his past, mistakes he's made, and moments where the dark side is called to him. Each time the evil energies call to him, inviting him to indulge in it just a little bit. And each time Anakin refuses. Besides that, the father also has Anakin study the world around him. Mortis is a land of mystery, with strange and volatile weather patterns, rapidly changing seasons, and locations strong in the dark and light side. The father has Anakin study it all, learning to feel the energy and letting it flow through him, rather than resisting it. The father is not alone in training Anakin either, as his children join in. The sister is always there, ready to heal his injuries in his training, and showing him how to channel life force and heal. She also helps Anakin make sense of his pain and visions, reminding him that this is the will of the Force. I am the chosen one. Isn't it my destiny to stop suffering from happening?
No one, not even the chosen one, can stop suffering. It is as natural as breathing and sleeping. All the power in the galaxy could not stop suffering. We must simply learn to deal with it as best we can, and to wake up every day and try to do our best.
The son also visits to give his advice, but his suggestions are far more different. He encourages Anakin to never let go of his passion, reminding him that suppression is the way of the Jedi, and he is no longer one of them. Passion like that is normal, and Anakin should embrace it, as he should all his emotions.
My father is reactionary with his thinking approach. He would rather deal with problems when they arise than stop them early. But with your power, you can fix problems across the galaxy before they arise.
Although Anakin welcomes his advice, he is also wary of the son, as whenever they talk, he feels a similar presence as in his visions, the darkness calling him. He manages to resist it for now, thanks to the father's training, and changes the subject. But Anakin can feel the son's impatience growing. As this happens, the father's strength is waning faster than anyone realizes, and soon finds himself on his deathbed. He intends for Anakin to take over as the ruler of Mortis. The father's strength leaves him, but he imparts a valuable message to Anakin.
Do not fall to the son, nor the daughter. You must be above them.
But as the father fades into nothingness, the power of Mortis ebbs away and flows into Anakin instead. The rush of energies sends him to his knees as the power becomes nearly uncontrollable. Slowly he takes a few deep breaths and steadies himself. As he controls his breathing, the power flows in more naturally until he can stand properly and looks around. Dark clouds swirl into the sky and the sun appears in his gargoyle form. But as he reaches the monastery, his form shifts into his human shape.
Anakin. So the old fool is gone. You were never meant to be chained to this place. Your destiny lies out there, in the galaxy. There is still much work to do there.
Suddenly, images flash before Anakin's eyes of worlds consumed by war, ships burning in the sky, and entire systems falling into chaos. The suffering, the anger, and the hatred. It surged like a tidal wave.
They need you, Anakin. The galaxy is screaming for order, for someone to lead them. You were not meant to hide here. You were meant to rule.
For a moment, Anakin wavers as he feels the sun's power. It is overwhelming, while Anakin still tries to control his newfound abilities. But he glares up at him.
These seem like your visions, rather than mine. I won't be your puppet.
Fool.
You think the war is ended without you? What you will find beyond Mortis is a world torn apart by destruction. You will need all the help you can to fix it.
Perhaps I will need help. But not yours. Go back to your domain. I command it.
The son recoils, his form shifting in anger as he looks ready to attack. But Anakin meets his gaze and steps closer. Suddenly, the son steps back and flies off. But before he goes, he looks over at the new master of Mortis.
This is not the end, Skywalker. You cannot escape the truth forever.
With the son gone, Anakin must consider his options and summons the daughter. Her soft presence is a stark contrast to the brother.
Anakin, you have inherited a great burden. The balance of the Force rests with you now. My brother's darkness will return, and only the dagger can stop him.
Then I have to ask you. Retrieve that dagger and keep it safe. Keep your brother in line. If I fail, the galaxy will need it.
I will guard it with my life.
Anakin smiles and heads to the meditation chambers in his room and sits down. As he closes his eyes, he channels his energy and pushes it outward. He goes beyond the walls of his monastery, and then beyond the bounds of Mortis, and pushes further still until he's back in the familiar halls of the Jedi Temple, where Obi-Wan is meditating as well.
Obi-Wan.
Anakin?
Hey, Master. I might need a ride.
A few days later, Anakin watches as a shuttle arrives at the monastery. At his side, the daughter clutches the dagger of Mortis tightly, wishing Anakin good luck. As the boarding ramp descends, Obi-Wan and Ahsoka walk down, their faces lighting up as they see Anakin, who embraces the pair. They have little time to exchange pleasantries, though, as Anakin fears staying for too long, as it might give the son the means to escape. He wishes the daughter good luck as he disappears into the ship, which leaves the planet. This time, they do not encounter any problems, as Anakin's mastery of the world ensures nothing gets in their way. The two of them notice how well Anakin channels the Force to keep the skies clear, and realize how much he's changed in the last few months. However, the visions Anakin sees are unfortunately not too different from the truth, as Obi-Wan reveals that Coruscant came under attack before they retrieved Anakin. Although the Republic won, the destruction was catastrophic. The only consolation is that they were able to capture Count Dooku. Obi-Wan intends to finish off Grievous as well, while Anakin volunteers to help with the rebuilding process. Although surprised to see him return, the Jedi Council welcomes Anakin's help, especially in rebuilding, as Anakin is technically no longer a Jedi. As the Republic begins the process of repairing the capital, Anakin offers his immense powers. With the teachings of the father of Mortis, Anakin can harness powers the Jedi can barely imagine. Buildings practically repair themselves, while debris is swept aside, clearing up room for citizens to return home. Citizens and soldiers alike watch in awe as Anakin's efforts greatly speed up the relief and helps countless lives. The people all hail Anakin as a hero, and one of the most prominent voices is Palpatine, who visits Anakin one day after he finishes his work.
I sense great change in you, my boy. It seems you have at least discovered your full potential and are fulfilling your destiny.
I've heard lots of talk about my destiny, Chancellor. Please, I would rather not discuss it.
Apologies, but could you at least tell me about where you were all these months?
Anakin hesitates, not wanting to reveal too much, but simply states that the ancient distress signal they discovered long ago led Anakin to a place where he could train and study the Force. Palpatine smiles and thanks him for his trust in him. Little does Anakin know that this is all the Chancellor needs. Anakin spends his time back home. He begins to receive visions of Padme dying in different ways, from losing her life in an accident during a relief mission, being captured by the CIS and executed, or being hunted down by dark-side assassins. These visions haunt him day and night, as he sleeps, trains, or tries to calm his mind. Each time they happen, Anakin feels a faint tingle in the Force. It was the familiar feeling of the dark side calling to him, and he realizes that something is wrong. However, he cannot determine its origin. He reports these visions to the Jedi, who explain they have long suspected there might be a Sith Lord who infiltrated the Republic. They suspect he may even be in the highest echelons of power, and asks Anakin if he can keep watch of them. Due to his reputation as a hero, and being gone for so long, there is a smaller risk of him being compromised. Meanwhile, the Jedi will continue interrogating Dooku for answers. Anakin agrees, and uses his relief operations as an excuse to meet with Palpatine, claiming it is to coordinate their efforts. As they spend more time together, both begin to spy on one another. Anakin uses his fine senses to determine whether anyone in Palpatine's inner circle has the dark side, while Palpatine tries to learn more about where Anakin came from. At the same time, with Anakin far from Mortis and focused on his mission, his control over the world weakens. This allows the sun to begin spreading his influence beyond the planet. He realizes that he cannot challenge Anakin openly and must gain allies. He begins appearing in the remaining dreams of the Sith, sending them visions of his influence and imploring their help. Palpatine receives these visions and begins making preparation. He continues trying to turn Anakin to the dark side, but finds that he's much more resistant and changes his tactics. Instead, he begins to send Anakin signs of the sun's rise, through visions of the sun throwing the galaxy into chaos. Now Palpatine slowly hints that he knows about Mortis and can stop the sun. The Chancellor hopes to use the sun to destroy the Jedi, and then have Anakin slay the sun in return. But as Anakin considers how Palpatine knows all this, he gets a message from Yoda, who informs him that Dooku is ready to reveal the identity of his master. However, he is only willing to reveal this information to Anakin and Obi-Wan. When the two Jedi arrive, the Count looks up at them grimly.
I reveal this not for any love of the Jedi, but because I see no path forward without stopping him. My master is Chancellor Palpatine.
The Chancellor? How? How could this have been hidden?
The Clone Wars, the power plays. He's been orchestrating everything to amass power for when the war ends. But for the last few days, I have been receiving calls from a Sith Lord older than either of us. He has asked to be freed. He promises power to reveal even my former master. I am certain my master received such visions as well, and unlike me, he would not hesitate to free this being.
It's the sun. We must confront Palpatine immediately. If he's truly the Sith Lord, we can't wait. No. The sun is the true danger. We must stop him first from ever escaping. If he's to escape, there's no telling what he can do.
To that end, Anakin takes Ahsoka with him to Mortis, while Obi-Wan and Yoda prepare the Jedi Order. When Anakin arrives in his domain, he finds the once vibrant world now darker, its balance crumbling. Even places that should be full of life are now withering away, while the rocks floating in the sky tumble to the ground. But as they near Anakin's monastery, his eyes widen, and he sees signs of battle. Large gashes, scorched walls, all point to a recent conflict. When he lands, he finds the daughter, once full of light, lying wounded, her face pale.
Anakin, my brother has escaped. The ship came. They freed him.
Who freed him?
I don't know. It was a ship filled with armored warriors.
The dagger?
I kept it safe. But the balance has fallen apart.
She reaches into the folds of her robes and holds up the Mortis dagger, wrapped up tightly. Anakin takes it gingerly while he and Ahsoka help the daughter stand and guide her back to the ship.
Rest, daughter. I'll finish what the father couldn't.
They quickly take her back to Coruscant, where Anakin explains that the sun is now loose, and they must stop Palpatine before they enact their plan. The daughter stays in the Jedi Temple so they can heal her, while a strike team consisting of Obi-Wan, Yoda, and Dooku heads to the Chancellor's office. They enter Palpatine's chambers, where the Sith Lord sits in his usual calm, authoritative posture. He looks just like the Chancellor Anakin has talked to countless times before, but for once, the darkness is not hidden and flows openly around him. Anakin curses himself for being fooled and glares at the Chancellor.
Master Jedi, what brings you here?
Know we do who you are. Time for hiding has passed, Chancellor.
So, Dooku has turned on me. How disappointing. But you know nothing.
It's over, Palpatine. We know about the Son, and your plans to use him.
Palpatine frowns, confusion crossing his face.
The Son? I've made no move to release him.
Before Anakin can respond, a loud explosion shakes the room. They all turn toward the window. Even at a distance, they can see the Jedi Temple burning as smoke rises into the sky. Their eyes widen as Palpatine sees them turning towards him and quickly shakes his head. Lightsabers ignite, filling the room with the hum of energy. Anakin, Obi-Wan, Yoda, and Ahsoka surround Palpatine. Their weapons are ready, and they block his escape.
I had nothing to do with this.
No, but I do. How amusing.
The shadows twist, and the sun appears behind Palpatine, his dark form crackling, while his eyes flicker with amusement and barely concealed hatred.
You? How?
Did you think I didn't sense your plan, Palpatine? To use Anakin against me? I've watched and studied your kind. Weak, scrambling for scraps of power. I deemed you unworthy.
You cannot control me, creature.
I don't need to control you. You were always just a pawn. My goal is not to take over your pitiful galaxy. No. After everything you and your father put me through, my goal is simple. To make everything you love burn.
Without warning, the sun moves with terrifying speed. His hand shoots forward, and the dark energy explodes from his fingertips, piercing Palpatine's chest. The Sith Lord gasps, holding his chest before dropping to the ground.
How did you escape?
Did you think Palpatine was the only Sith I contacted?
The Jedi barely have time to process what just happened, as reports start coming in from the defense fleet above, reporting that a fresh armada has emerged and attacked their fleet. It wasn't the massive CIS armada, but swarms of smaller ships, gunships, modified freighters, and starfighters. Among them are a set of modified Mandalorian ships.
The Republic's defenses are stretched thin. He's trying to destabilize everything.
Go we must. The Sun has begun his chaos.
The strike team arrives at the burning Jedi Temple, the stench of smoke and blaster fire thick in the air. Above them, Mandalorians zip through the sky on jetpacks, raining down blaster bolts and explosions, while those on foot fire streams of fire or grapple with the temple's defenders. The Jedi, outnumbered and surrounded, are barely holding the line. At their head is the Sun, who has picked up a pair of lightsabers and cuts through the Jedi defenders. Despite the Temple Guard's best attempts to block and surround him, he is like a whirlwind, throwing them back and cutting them into pieces. He slowly begins clearing the courtyard and advances deeper into the halls.
We need to help them, now!
The rest of the strike team nod and prepares their weapons, leaping out and taking the rear guard by surprise. Mandalorians try and face them, but the strike team consists of the very best. Dooku moves forward and unleashes a wave of lightning that throws them back. This opens a hole for them to hurry forward into the temple. Thankfully, some of the remaining Jedi Masters are there to hold back the attackers, including the daughter, who remains wounded but forces herself to fight. She faces off against the Sun's chosen champion, Darth Maul. The Night Brothers' double-bladed weapon flashes, striking at her with ruthless efficiency. But even though she is unarmed, the daughter blocks each attack with her hands, letting them slide off as she strikes with her palms. However, the strain on her face is clear as she slowly steps back and gives ground. Ahsoka leaps over Maul and blocks his next attack.
I've got your back.
The two women fend off Maul's attacks together, their movements blurring as he defends against their attacks, until at last the daughter regains enough strength to throw Maul back with the Force. The two then turn their attention to face the other attackers. As Maul prepares to move again, he senses movement behind him. Dooku and Obi-Wan appear and ready their weapons.
Care for a rematch?
I've been waiting for this.
Maul spins his blade in a deadly arc, forcing Obi-Wan to retreat before locking sabers with Dooku. Even as Maul's weapon spins out of control, Dooku's skills remain flawless and he meets him with a careful grace.
And you're all doomed.
The sun will destroy everything.
He retreats from the attack just as Obi-Wan leaps out and kicks him across the face, sending Maul sprawling. Dooku sweeps between his legs and sends Maul toppling. He aims his lightsaber down, but the Sith Lord slides out of the way. Maul shoves his metallic legs back, the Force knocking the wind out of both Jedi. As they stumble, Maul slashes at their legs, trying to keep them off balance. Dooku tries to counter this with Force lightning, but Maul bats it aside and grabs the Count, throwing him against the wall. Obi-Wan takes the momentary distraction and slashes low, aiming at his legs. Maul barely blocks it and tries to swing overhead, but feels himself frozen in place as Ahsoka and the daughter hold him back. At their feet are dozens of defeated Mandalorians. Dooku and Obi-Wan look at one another and slash their lightsabers, taking Maul at the head and waist. Meanwhile, Yoda and Anakin confront the sun directly. The dark being towers over them, his face twisted with contempt.
You think you can stop me, Chosen One? I am the chaos that will consume everything.
Anakin charges forward, lightsaber slashing in a blur. His attacks are quick and brutal, but the sun crosses his lightsabers and blocks each one. His powers with the Force manage to counter Anakin's strength, but as they lock together, Yoda jumps up and strikes at the sun. Rather than use his lightsaber, he catches the blade and kicks Yoda aside. Before he can celebrate his victory, Anakin uses the Force against the wall, sending it tumbling over to the sun, who unleashes a shockwave that shatters it into pieces. It is enough for Anakin and Yoda to recover and press the attack. Their movements are in perfect sync, Yoda's agility and calm coupled with Anakin's ferocity and power. Pressed on two fronts, the sun must use his energy to block against both of them, but he can feel the frustration growing within them and refuses to yield. Rather than fight harder, he begins to exhale, channeling the darkness and slowly letting it out, filling the room. The darkness doesn't strike at them but leaves them unfocused as it tries to tempt them and pull their attention away. Yoda feels it, and so does Anakin. The former has no problem pushing it aside, but Anakin feels that all too familiar feeling, and in the heat of combat, doesn't realize it at first. His attacks grow more aggressive, becoming stronger and pressing the sun, who must drive out of the way. Anakin watches as the sun's confident expression crumples and is replaced by a bit of panic. But then he regains himself as he doesn't feel satisfied, but worried. This was the temptation the father warned him about. Instead, he pushes the sun back against the wall and pulls the Mortis dagger from his belt before driving it into the sun's chest. The beast gasps, his eyes going wide as he stares at the weapon sticking out from his stomach, and then collapses to the ground. Anakin watches this and slowly pulls the dagger out. The daughter runs up to her brother and begins to tear up as she embraces him. He places a hand on her shoulder and shakes his head.
I'm sorry, but it had to be done.
The daughter nods her head stiffly as the sound of battle fades away, leaving the Jedi to begin the long process of rebuilding. That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.